पुलिसकर्मी ड्यूटी पर लगे हुए सभी पुलिसकर्मी ध्यान दें। यहाँ पर जल्दी से टावर के पास चले आए। हेमर नाना, कुशीनगर, कसया, किराने वाले।
It is wonderful, the power of a faith like that can make multitudes upon multitudes of the old and weak and the young and the frail enter without hesitation or complaint upon such incredible journeys and endure the resultant miseries without repining. It is done in love or it is done in fear. I do not know which it is. No matter what the impulse is, the act born of it is beyond imagination, marvellous to our kind of people, the cold whites. Mark Twain after visiting the Kumbh Mela in 1895. It is without equal the Kumbh Mela, a gathering that celebrates not only faith but humanity itself. When translated from Sanskrit to English, it simply means the festival of the urn or pot.
The story is very beautiful. It begins with Indra, the god of the skies. He's the god of thunder and lightning. He's given a little flower by somebody and he just tosses it away thinking very little of this little gift. And the whole earth shrivels up. Lakshmi, who's the goddess of well-being, disappears from the earth. And it's a story, it's a myth that tells you to respect the gifts of nature, to respect however small the gift is, to respect those gifts. And when she disappears, the whole earth collapses, it crumbles, it disintegrates, it dries up. And the gods get very nervous and they go up to Brahma and Vishnu and say, what should we do? And they take each other's advice and they're told to churn the milky ocean. Now this ocean is in Hindu mythology, it can be the sky, it's the one ocean from which everything has manifested. So they churn the ocean, the demons and the gods, and then the divine physician emerges and he creates the pot, and then the nectar of immortality emerges on top of it. And they scoop it up and put it into this pot, which is called the Kumbh. And the gods realize if you drink from this ambrosia, then they're assured immortality. And of course the demons realize this as well, so there's this big tussle to take that pot. And the story goes that Indra's son takes it and rushes up into heaven, but a few drops fall and his journey takes 12 days, which translates into human years as 12 years. So it drops in 4 different places, which is in Allahabad, where the prayer takes place, Ujjain, Nasik and Hardwar.
Its origins lie in the mists of time. The first written evidence of the Kumbh Mela can be found in the accounts of Chinese traveller Wan Zhang, who visited India in 629 BC. But it was there much before then. This year the Kumbh took place at Allahabad, the most sacred of all the sites. I was there 12 years ago, along with 30 million other people, but it was no ordinary Kumbh, it was a Mahakumbh, an event that only happens once every 144 years. They came to bathe in the waters of the Mother Ganges from not only the 4 corners of India, but the 4 corners of the globe. Each and every person had their own reason for being there.
I felt that in that I was still mourning my father's death, that I wanted to continue a formal ritualization of his passing. So no place other than India affords one more of a soulful expression of memorializing. To me, ritual has to do with invoking memories. So on that day that I performed this puja, the memories of my dad were just very, very lucid to me.
There are many hundred sadhus or hermits from many hundred sects who come to pay their respects to Mother Ganga. These include Nagas, who do not wear any clothes, Urdhvahas, who believe in putting the body through severe austerities, Parivajakaras, who have taken a vow of silence, Shirashashins, who stand 24 hours and meditate for hours standing on their heads, and then there's the Kalvasyas, who bathe thrice a day. While these sadhus suffer on our behalf as individuals, there is one group of ascetics who gather in their many hundreds for the benefit of humanity. Sir Mark Tully, a veteran of many kumbhs, describes the spectacle from the Mahakumbh that still makes my eyes water.
There's smoke pouring out of a temple here, temporary temple here, which is built like a pagoda temple like you see in places like Kathmandu. It's built just out of bamboo wickerwork, and inside there are no less than 1,000 Brahmins offering up sacrifice for world peace. The sacrifice consists of more than 100 different fires into which they're throwing sacred herbs. The scene here is, well, one thing which comes to my mind is like Euston Station in the old days when there were steam engines and there were about 4 or 5 steam trains all about to go. The other vision which comes to my mind is of Dante's Inferno. You can take your pick of those two. It's an incredible sight and an incredible sound.
For some, the prayers of sadhus were not enough. During the 1954 Kumbh Mela, a stampede took place at Allahabad. Around 500 people lost their lives and scores were injured. And in 1993, a further 39 people died. Although it is very sad, I'm still surprised that there are so few injuries and fatalities, especially on the day or morning of a big bay. Here's Sir Mark Tully once again.
4:30 in the morning, and we're making our way down slowly towards the confluence itself to witness the climax of the big day, which is the procession of the naked holy men under the akaras. As we walk down here, we're having to find our way through people who are pouring out of the fairground, having already had their bathe. All the pedestrians are being very carefully organized by the police. Police whistles are blowing ferociously to try and keep them on the right paths, and the road we're walking down is now reserved for people coming out of the fair. There's an old man just passing me here, hobbling on a stick. There are lots of people carrying their luggage in plastic sacks on their head. There's a father here with a child on his shoulder. 2 women pass, their faces wrapped in black scarves, and a group of men from a village wrapped in blankets. Everyone here is, again, very peaceful, looking very happy, looking very satisfied. There's a lovely group of village women walking past me now with their sacks on their heads. It's the quietness, as I was saying, the orderliness of this crowd, which is so tremendously impressive. It's a cold winter's morning, but that doesn't seem to be affecting people. There are 2 men over there in the crowd, I can't quite reach them, who have come out just wearing what looks like their underpants. I don't know how they're putting up with the cold. Police are whistling ferociously in an attempt to indicate that they're actually doing something to control this crowd. But as I said, really the crowd is controlling itself. Now the mounted police are here. A beautiful horse, half local Indian breed called Marwari and half thoroughbred. Policeman sitting on it with a big flowing moustache and a huge smile on his face. Best place to be probably in this crowd on a horse. Certainly I could do with one now. Now we're going downhill, descending actually towards the Sangam, the most sacred place. People are waving here and shouting because obviously how they've identified them I don't know, but they've obviously identified part of their group. Now the Niranjani procession is coming past us, led first of all by 4 police horses. Orange-clad, saffron-clad sadhus are going by now. And then there's the whole Ram Ramji, Ram Ramji. And there's my old friend, the Mahant Ramakrishna Giri, head of this whole procession with a huge smile on his face going by. Lovely to see him. And a whole lot of flags going past now, banners, people on foot. This is a very orderly procession so far, and the Niranjanis and my friend the Mahanta noted for the discipline and order of their akara. The great standards of the Akaras are now coming along. They're being pushed on trolleys. Huge great standards. There's a great purple one with a peacock on it going past right now. And then behind it, a deep velvet one, a deep purple one with the sacred sign, the sign of the sacred sign, Ob. And now here come the bagpipers. Drumming. And now the naked sadhus themselves. Hundreds of them, their bodies smeared with that white paste, throwing marigolds into the crowd. And now more standards coming, and the mace bearers. Here comes the first of the Mahamandaleshwars, the great scholars of the Akaras, the people who are responsible for instructing the sadhus. And we must try and keep a lookout for our friend Swami Vedbharti. The great scholars are riding on elaborate howdahs which should be on the back of elephants, but because in the 50s some of the elephants ran amok and there was a stampede, the elephants have been ruled out of court, and the Mahamandaleshwars all ride now on the trolleys of tractors. The howdahs are like great silver thrones, and the Mahamandaleshwars look like princes of Hinduism, princes of the church do as well. Sitting on their... This is the end of the high point of the Kumbh Mela. But I can see on all sides through my binocular, on every bank of this confluence of rivers, there are millions of people waiting to bathe, and millions have already bathed. This is a spectacle that only India can provide. But it's more than a spectacle. It's a religious occasion with deep meaning for all the millions of pilgrims who've put up with so much to be here on this day, and of course for the holy men, for the Akaras too.
It's difficult to understand the power of faith, but power it does have. What drew me to this spectacle was the desire to make a radio program all those many years ago. What I left with was much more. I'm not sure I'll have the opportunity, or should I say, the good fortune to visit another Kumbh Mela. But the Indian in me tells me I'll be back. If not in this life, but in the next for sure.